Welcome back. This is Newsroom Live, live shot of New York City right there. I'm Stephanie Bertini. It's almost 8:30. Welcome to our Fox 5 Newsroom. This is where we take you behind the scenes. We cover the headlines. We talk, we chat. We're talking Valentine's Day tonight. I want to introduce Victoria Moretti. She's a dating and relationship coach. She's also a matchmaker for everyone single out there that's watching. Hi, Victoria. How are you?
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you so much for having me.
So you see, I'm dressed in theme for the VJ week, the
We are.
holiday. So let's break this down. I mean, we want you to first attack this conversation from the standpoint as what is Valentine's Day in 2026?
Valentine's Day in 2026 is similar to Valentine's Day before. Valentine's Day is just a classic day where we are so busy in our lives, especially this year, and it allows us to really just stop and carve out time for that special someone and really say and convey that I love you, you're important to me. I cherish you in our relationship, and that's what really matters.
When it comes down to Valentine's Day, we hear all kinds of different dialogues. So there are those who say Valentine's Day is important and it's about the symbol of appreciating and extending the gift or the gesture or the big gift or the big gesture. And then there are those that say, look, it's a commercial holiday. It's totally overrated. How do you kind of analyze and look at dialogue for both sides of this argument? Of course, there's people that I guess are in the middle of it too.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the biggest mistake that men can make with this holiday is to not have a plan, right? To like make some effort and put some intentionality in it to say, okay, I'm going to put together, something to do, make the reservation, order the flowers, buy the card, plan the activity if you're an activity couple, whatever flavor that looks like for you guys, just make sure that you thought ahead. Women can tell when things are planned last minute, right? Just have something planned and really, women really appreciate that effort and
You,
intention.
you hear people talk about it every year, but I noticed trending going into the Valentine's Day holiday this year, the dialogue, right? Women online basically saying like, if the men don't do it, then it's not right. And then the other discourse, of course, we're talking, in heterosexual relationships, but the other discourse from the men being, you know what, it's completely overrated, and it is just a commercial holiday. Do you think that it's more important to women than men, Valentine's Day?
Honestly, I do. I think women really love it. It's an opportunity to slow down and really share that special time with that special someone. And, it depends on what stage you are in the relationship as well, right? You might not do the same thing within the first weeks of dating that you would do, years in, right? So you don't always have to, it always doesn't have to be so complicated, right? So if it's the first weeks of dating, maybe it's just flowers, right? Or you get them a card and you share something sentimental. But if it's a few years in, sometimes women really like that gift, right?
So
Um,
let me
mhm.
ask you, is this something, because again, you're a dating and relationship expert, is this something you should be talking about expectation wise before getting into the relationship? So when you're dating, what your expectations are, does it evolve? And you mentioned it could change over time as the relationship becomes now a decade in, 2 decades in. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
That is such a good question. And I really think it's important to be explicit. People can't read our minds. If you're wanting to go out for Valentine's, if you're expecting a gift, don't set a trap for your partner, right? Make
Right.
that explicit. Talk about what it looks like for the both of you, what you both enjoy, what you both like. And that way you're really setting yourselves up to win on both sides.
What are some of the complaints you hear in terms of, not just the whole he didn't do anything or she expected too much, but kind of like the middle way? I mean, I'll give you an example. I've heard people say in different cities, like, it's just nuts. Like, you can't even book anything when it comes to a reservation or these set menus being overpriced, especially if in a dynamic or fast paced city. But you hear people say this in different parts of the country. So, what are some of the complaints that you hear, I guess, when it comes to, the planning and the money required to really do the big things on this day?
Yeah, that's a good question, especially now, and especially in New York City. I mean, restaurant reservations can be so hard to come by. So definitely plan ahead. But even if you don't want to do a restaurant reservation, you can get creative, right? You can go to a comedy show, you can go to a Broadway show, right? You can do a sporting event or some other activity in the city. It doesn't have to be so plain vanilla if you can't come by that reservation. And then also, you can, if you don't want to break the bank, and it's been really cold out lately, right? Maybe you can stay in, create a cozy night, buy one of those projectors and like project a movie up on the wall and get
Mm.
some blankets and cozy up, to some popcorn and candy and just do something that you wouldn't normally do, makes it a little bit special. Like go out dancing if that's what she likes to do, create some kind of memory that you're gonna, look back on and say, "Oh my god, we did that," right? And it
So
doesn't
what I'm
have to.
hearing you say is the planning is crucial, as you've said, but it's kind of more about like building the memories and acknowledging that perfect gift or getting all the chocolates and the candies, kind of like knowing the expectations, knowing your partner, and making sure that you are coming through, following through, doing it, right?
Exactly. Know your partner, right? Think about what would they like, not just what do I want to do, right? Really think about maybe what are some things that they shared recently that they enjoy. Maybe they were talking about a concert or, someone coming, to the city. Or maybe, just what are the little activities that your partner likes, right? Even thinking about men, right? If they, if you could do big, ticket items, right? You could do like for women, obviously jewelry never goes out of style, right? You could do a necklace, you could do some earrings, you could do a bracelet, you could do a spa day, right? You could do like a nice robe or silk pajamas or, perfume, cologne. Same with men, right? You can do the basics of like a nice wallet, or if you guys are the travel couple, right? You could do like a passport book, right? I saw one
Yeah.
the other day that had like a little tennis motif, right? For the tennis player in your life, right? Think about what they do, what they like. If he likes chess, like give them a new like chess set that they can have in the home, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
some thoughtfulness to think about it. But, if you're the experienced couple, think about something to do or plan a nice trip away for the weekend, just break away. It doesn't have to look all the same. And you don't have to compare yourself to what everyone else is doing either.
So let's just kind of diversify the conversation a bit. So let's talk about different kinds of relationships outside of the male female relationship. Because I think within the dialogue right now, we're focusing on the gender roles in theory. And we do see it trending.
Yeah.
It's more important to women than men. And the guys might kind of think, oh, what's the big deal? The women. But let's say LGBTQ community. Do you think that those um, areas where it comes to responsibility of who it's more who more has the responsibility of making the holiday special? Do you think it's more
Right.
homogeneous, or do you think that comes down to really just knowing the individual that's your partner? Talk about that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to talk about since we're kind of more talking about, women male dynamics, right? Every dynamic is unique and everyone brings their different self, right, to the relationship and has different strengths and has different things that they value in the relationship, right?
Right.
But everyone wants to be considered. So even if you're in, a same sex relationship, doing something that makes your partner feel special, that you took a second out of your day to really think about them, right? It could be as simple as, getting a card and writing all the things you love about them, or, everything you appreciate about the relationship, or, all the most memorable memories that you've enjoyed in the past year together or in your
Yeah.
relationship, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be so like, no, traditional, right? It could just be,
Be
hey,
creative is what you're saying.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly, and it looks like something different to everyone, but yeah, making it explicit so you both feel like you showed up and took the time and were considered.
So we know you're a relationships expert and you're also a matchmaker, right? We were looking at a scroll of your Instagram there. Um, so singles on Valentine's Day. First of all, if you're completely single, which I'm sure as a matchmaker you talk to a lot of single people, is it a downer?
It can be if you make it and you focus on the fact that you're single,
Yeah.
right? But there's so many women today doing Galentine's Day. I'm doing brunch with my girlfriends on Saturday. This is a holiday to not just focus about the romantic partners in your life, but all the special people in your
The
life,
people you
right? So
love.
yeah, call your friends, call your family, call your niece and nephew. Really it's time to just like make a moment to appreciate all the love that is in your life, whether you're single or not.
Exactly. I already got my son his Valentine's Day gift because that's
Oh,
my little love.
I love that. That's so good. I know I sent my nephew a Valentine's Day card this week as well.
But it's true, and that's why the kids and my son's in the first grade. They celebrated at school, so we'll bring the treats tomorrow. I got them ready tonight for my son, and they're actually having dress down day. They wear uniform, but they're gonna wear red or pink. But you see it celebrated. It's not only in a romantic context, right? It's a day to lean into love and appreciation, as you said.
Absolutely. And if you're single, I mean, everyone's thinking about it right now, right? So maybe it's a great time to go on the apps and see what you can find.
See what you find out there, because we hope everyone on the apps are that they're all single, right? We don't want anybody in relationships
I
on the
would
apps
hope
because that's a
so.
whole other conversation. We'll need you back for that, for
Yeah, we'll
people
need more time.
masquerading to be single on the apps. No, I want to ask you something though. If you're dating but not in a defined relationship, what is the importance of Valentine's Day in that context? Because I'm sure you talk to disappointed people like, oh, we're together now, but when we were dating, he didn't do anything on Valentine's Day or the vice versa. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I would err on the side of caution and plan something anyway.
yeah.
You don't want to be that person that one person was expecting something and the other person wasn't, right? So it doesn't have to be a gift. It could just be planning time together. But definitely bring it up, don't ignore it. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a chance to get together and do something different.
Um, Kind of branching out within the context of the conversation, you talk to people about their relationships, you give people dating advice. When it comes to relationships, though, and communication, right? You do hear people say, especially early on, that you don't want to kind of give the playbook away, especially if you're dating, because then you're kind of telling somebody what to do and then they get you and they change, right? You've heard that before, I'm sure. Now, in the relationship, though, you've mentioned in this conversation, you should set out your expectations. It can be uncomfortable, though, when it comes to how you'd want to celebrate your birthday or what you would expect on Valentine's Day, maybe even a bit embarrassing if you're sort of in the early stage of a relationship or it's not defined yet. I mean, there's gray areas to this conversation. What advice do you have when it comes to communication, not just about something like Valentine's Day, but overall? And is it related to the stage you're at in a relationship?
Yeah, that is such a good question. I mean, what a good opportunity to speak up and articulate your needs, right? So, this is a great opportunity to share your expectations, to ask for what you want. It doesn't take away the surprise. If they're doing it, it's because they care, right? And you can really take that in. But what a great time and opportunity to start. In small ways that feel like a small risk that isn't too scary,
Mm,
to really state what you want. If they're not going to show up for you today, they're not going to show up for you 6 months from now or a year from now, right? So I
yeah.
think it's being brave and being vulnerable and seeing where each other are, and that builds trust, right? And that builds the bond and strengthens the bond. When you're doing something vulnerable or saying something vulnerable and that person shows up for you, that's when you really know if that person can be that person
It's
for
a
you long.
bridging together. So I mean, if the first Valentine's Day isn't good, it's probably never going to be good by the course of this conversation. But you know what? It's an important point you bring up because we talk about the flip of it, right? When you're comfortable in a relationship. I mean, I think it's not just Valentine's Day. Sometimes you see people who have been married or together for a long time. It's like, okay, we're tight on money. We're not doing gifts this year. We're just getting gifts for the kids for Christmas, for example, or for birthdays. It's like, you know what? We really want to go on a vacation this summer, so we're going to not do birthday gifts. You hear that all the time. So that's the kind of communication that I think kind of develops over time too, because there's a comfort level, right? When it goes from expectations to making decisions together as a couple, whether it's Valentine's Day, what to do for Valentine's Day or something else.
Absolutely. I think those are conversations that you guys can have together over time. And hopefully, you're having multiple conversations along the way. So, you guys are really understanding each other and really getting it right. In the beginning, I think it's also important to give each other grace. right? We're all just trying to do our best. We're trying to do the best with what we know, right? It's hard out there. Everyone is different. And, so many people can cut people off too early because they had some expectation and then they didn't do it,
Yeah,
right? But it's
that
really important
happens. Yeah.
to have a conversation, understand where people are coming from, and really be in a mindset of appreciation. What did they do? What are they doing to show that they care? People have different love languages as well,
Right.
right? So
Right.
really just looking at the positive and
Yeah,
try to make
it's not a
connection.
black and white scenario here. There's a lot of factors to consider. You talked
Absolutely.
about Galentine's Day, right? That's a newer phenomenon. I mean, I don't remember it like decades ago, but it's something that's been happening. What do
Right.
you think about the emerging popularity of Galentine's Day? Like, what was it born out of? Is it just like single women like getting around? Like, it's more important to us than them. Let's just celebrate it. Because sometimes you even see people in relationships celebrating with their girlfriends.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm going to a brunch with my girlfriends. Some are in a relationship and some aren't, right? It's just another excuse to show each other that we love each other and we're grateful to be in each other's lives, right? And that this is just a holiday to, low stakes, low expectations, to just get together and express that love, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity, even if you're in a relationship and married, to start, hop on the trend. Who knows? Maybe men will catch on soon.
Maybe
This is a
they'll
great event
maybe
as
they'll
well.
look at what, your girlfriend got you flowers, so they'll do it the next time. I want to ask you one more question as we tie this up, because we do hear people talk about, the commercialization of it all. And that's the main dialogue from a lot of men. It's like, why do I need someone to tell me how to show love on one specific day? You think that's a cop out for guys that just don't want to show up how they're expected to? Or do you think there's validity to that?
I mean, of course, there's some validity to that. We're all trying to make a buck, but I really just think that if you're in a relationship, why not have one more opportunity, right? To have quality time together, to tell your person how much you cherish them, how much you appreciate them. And, we really don't say that enough with our
Hmm.
partners,
Yeah.
right? So you can never say it too much,
What a
whether it's
profound thing
a
to say. Yeah.
holiday
Hmm.
or not.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. You're right. And tapping into your relationship expertise, if Valentine's Day is really important to one person and not important at all to another person, and there's sort of a refusal to meet in the middle, does that mean it's really an example of what's a problem in the relationship, a bigger problem?
Well, I think, if we look at the Gottman Institute, which is one of the utmost institutions for research into what makes a healthy marriage work, they say one of the biggest pillars of a healthy, strong relationship that lasts is that those partners accept influence from each other, right? So if one person really cares about that, it's really important to them. I would hope that that other person can accept some influence. And of course, we're going to make compromises. It's not about every single little thing, right? But what are the little moments where one person can come closer to the other and the other moments where the other person can do the same,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I
Mm-hmm.
really think that shows a lot of health and emotional intelligence in the relationship and creates a really strong bond.
Yeah, that's a really great sentiment. One of my favorite childhood memories, I got to tell you, share it with you, Victoria, was my mom buying me furniture for my Barbie. It was like a bedroom, like a whole bedroom set for the Barbie, because I'd recently gotten a dollhouse for the
Yeah.
Barbie on Valentine's Day. And I remember that. And even after all these years as a woman now, as a mom, having been in relationships, that was the best Valentine's Day I ever got. It's because the gift made me feel truly seen, and like I still have a vivid memory. It must have been 6, 7, maybe 8. I don't even know exactly how old I was. I gotta ask mom tonight. But I remember opening it up. It was wrapped up in pink and red, and I was so excited. It's a childhood memory that I really cherish. It shows the impact of really giving a gift or an experience that somebody will like.
Yeah. And, clearly, you know, that your mom knew you, right? She got
Yeah,
you that gift that you loved. But even if you don't hit the mark, just making that effort, right? And showing someone that they took the time to just think about you and get you something, I think really goes a long way. And a lot of people forget that, right? So
yeah.
that effort and intentionality like women love, right? And men do it too, right?
Yeah.
They want to be appreciated as well,
Yeah.
right? They want to be loved up on.
I see your
Absolutely.
gorgeous flowers on your table. I buy myself flowers all the time. I got to be honest. And I got to tell you, it can really make the room for the guys that say don't buy flowers because they die. Come on, women love flowers, especially roses.
I mean, I love them any day of the week, no matter if it's a holiday or not. So it's just a clear winner. It's just easy, always works.
Here's my Valentine to you. I drew you a heart. Thanks for being with us on Newsroom Live. Appreciate you, Victoria. Thanks for being with us. All right, Brian, let's take a break. Thank you.